You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio. Parasearch Radio, broadcasting to the UK and beyond.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Kerry Greenaway and Mark Manley on the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show, only on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to the Dark Mirror Paranormal Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway and this is your usual night of fun and frolics to do with the paranormal. Now, before we begin, I just want to send out all the best wishes to our lovely Mark Manley. He's unable to join us tonight. He's had to have a little operation. He's all okay, he's all fine, but he's recovering and is not really with it because of the anaesthetic still. So he's not able to join us tonight. So we send our love and get well soons and all that to our lovely Mark. Now, tonight on the Dark Mirror Show, I've got a few people with us tonight to join this lively little discussion. First up is the lovely Carl Hutchinson in the house. Good evening, Carl.
Good evening, Kerry. How are you?
I'm doing good. We also have the lovely Gemma. Good evening, Gemma.
Hi, guys. Is everyone all right?
In bed with Gemma again, yeah?
In bed with Gemma again. I know. It's becoming a bit of a regular thing, this, isn't it?
It is a Friday night in bed with Gems. I mean, come on.
It's good job nobody can see me.
Well, we're working on that one. And we also have a surprise guest in the studio, a voice of reason and sense. Hopefully. Or hopefully not, actually. It's the lovely MJ Dixon. Good evening, MJ.
Hi, guys. The voice of reason and sense. What the hell?
I would just like to say initially, sorry, MJ, to surprise this on you. But
yeah,
we were
so
talking
surprise
before.
guest, guys. Surprise guest. As in, I didn't know I was coming on the show until about 5 minutes ago. So, hi.
And I apologise for that, but I couldn't think of a better person because I was talking to MJ before we went live on air. We were having a little bit of a catch up, and I thought, hang on, I know somebody that's going to be good for this tonight. So I asked, and she's here.
Yay!
Well. That's all I can say. Tonight's topic is a controversial one, I would like to put out there. It has its, should we say its origins way back many centuries ago. I want to break into song when I say that. And, it's a weird one, I have to say. It was chosen on the Monday Live. Because we couldn't come up with one, so we put it out to the public, and the public decided they wanted to hear us speak about this particular topic. So here we are. And it's all about the demon factor. But I want to first ask, who believes in angels out of you three?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Carl?
Sorry, that sounded really blasé. I was just going to jump right in there. Well, I never used to, but I've had some really interesting stuff happen over the years, and yeah, I definitely think there's more to that.
Okay. Carl, do you believe in angels?
Oh, God, his cogs are ticking.
Oh, dear. Already.
I know this isn't good radio, dead silence, and me going, yes, I believe there is things that we don't understand on different levels.
That's not why I asked. I said, do you believe in angels?
Yeah, kind of.
Gemma.
Kind of.
Gems,
See,
do you
I'm going to
believe
be a
in
bit
angels?
like Carl on this one because I believe that there's definitely something that guides you in your path of life itself. But is it an angel? Who am I to answer that?
Okay, so that's sort of like the light side of things, and that's about all I'm going to cover
Wait,
on
wait,
the light
wait,
side.
wait, wait, I have a question. Kerry, do you believe in angels?
Yes, I do. But then I also believe in demons.
Likewise.
Carl? Demons?
I believe that if you're an evil so-and-so in life, you're an
That's
evil
not the
so-and-so.
question.
Yeah.
That's not the question.
Nicely dodged, though.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, Mr. Politician's in the house. Well, you know, if you're a nasty, horrible person in life, you're going to be a nasty, horrible person in death. Except angels and demons are not people that have lived on Earth and passed over.
Well, I think
Yeah, but neither are
the more
elementals.
questions should
Exactly.
be, I think the question to push out the word demon, I think what we should be looking more at is good and bad. Forget the demon, because I think demon conjures up all sorts, Hollywood, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
blah, and all
I
this
feel
stuff.
like I need more
Have
wine
any
for
of
the show.
have any of you guys ever come across a succubus or an incubus? Yeah, because I know I haven't.
No.
I'd
like to.
I'd express that.
Sorry, that's a
Say
different.
that again,
That's a
please,
different channel.
But is that a demon?
Well,
It's supposed
Or
to be
is
a
that
lower
just
level
a-
of a demon,
it's-
isn't
Or
it?
is
Yeah,
that just
so-
a fruity spirit?
it's but then like shapeshifters, do you know what I mean? Bring shapeshifters into it as well because
Absolutely.
they're again, yeah.
Okay, well,
basically, my biggest thing is that yes, I do believe in angels and demons, and I do believe there are certain levels of things out there which are much higher than your average human spirit. I absolutely believe that. I don't. It's really weird because I don't believe in God per se. I don't believe that you should call it, whether you call it God, Allah, Buddha, whatever the case may be. There is a higher being. Doesn't matter what religion you are, we all believe the same thing. There is a higher being that, we just don't understand. So, yes, I believe there are levels of things we don't quite know much about. Yes, I believe that just as you have higher beings of light, that you will also have the opposite in dark. But I do think a lot of the times things like just an idiot that's on the other side
So
is
MJ,
considered a demon.
so yes, I completely agree with what you just said. Do you think the word is the wrong thing that we should be saying?
Well, yeah, because and it goes down to TV these days as well. Because these days you redo your kitchen and you inherited the house from Grandma Joe, and she hates the damn colour on the walls and thinks it's disgusting, kicks off in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, hashtag, it's a goddamn demon. You know what I mean? So I think our understanding is completely wrong with them. I think people use the term too loosely. I think a lot of it is Hollywood to blame and just TV shows in general. These days, somebody stubs their toe, and oh my God, it was a demon's fault. Every second person's. And I think that is down to Hollywood.
Well, I'm not being funny, but let's pop on over to Ghost Adventures.
Oh, don't even.
And the latest episode with the old Dybbuk box and
Orange, you glad we brought him?
Hold on a second. Let's go back. Let's have a little quick history lesson. Now, I know experts and historians and psychologists are going to have an absolute field day with this, but I'm going to paraphrase it, right? I'm going to layman term it for everybody. So going back into there, demon, the word, into there, demon as a word didn't mean what we interpret it now. It just meant an incorporeal being, right? And that covered just about every god of Olympus and, and this is going right back. So that was the term. Now, pop along, and this happened cross-culturally, in all the cross-culturals, right? So, as I say, I'm layman terming, I'm missing out huge chunks, so get that, everybody. Don't worry, I know this shit. So then we pop along to Christianity, and they transformed a lot of those deities into angelic beings. that we know and love today. But they had a problem with one of the particular ones, which was Cerinus, which we talked about on the Scottish Myths and Legends, otherwise known as Hermes, otherwise known as the Horned God, right? The one with antlers on its head. So what they did was they then transmuted that into being the baddie. And that is basically where our modern day image of demons, demonology, the devil, Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub, all those lovely terms that are thrown around. Now that's where we get our symbology from that point, which is a Christianity thing, right? So the word demon originally wasn't, it just meant an incorporeal being, an entity. It didn't necessarily mean bad. A bad thing.
You just hit the nail on the head. You have this name that is given to something that over time becomes the name of it. Whether you believe in it or whether you don't believe in it, you have this name, whether it's, as you said.
I have a quick question. I'm just going to interject here really, really quickly. Did any one of you hear the male voice while Kerry was talking?
No.
Not again.
I was too busy listening to myself.
Sorry. I point out to viewers, like we can see each other, listeners. There is a time when myself and MJ, we Skype. We Skype quite a lot, and we chat, and we chew the fat. And there's things that happen on Skype that I can't explain from the logical brain that I have in my head. And MJ hears it, and I hear things. And normally it happens when we're chatting about it. And so if anybody's listening to the show, keep a good listen out for in between us talking, whether it's Kerry, Gemma, MJ, myself. Just listen in between, because I believe that whenever we talk on this sort of network, things like I've just heard a male voice just laugh.
I heard something there, but I wasn't too sure what that was.
I just heard a male voice laugh literally on this phone out.
The problem I think with Skype...
I want to know, are you hearing other things apart from the three lovely presenters
keep an ear out
and
for
myself?
Keep an ear out for another male voice, because we tend to have that happen quite a bit, whether I'm Skyping or on WhatsApp with my mum in Zimbabwe.
We had the same thing on the Supernatural show, didn't we? Do you remember, Kerry, not long ago, where we'd heard voices while we was presenting?
Oh, okay.
The problem I have with this is it's because of the channel we use to broadcast, which is essentially Skype. Yeah, and I don't believe that is a closed thing. I think you would sometimes get interference through, because I'm here.
But then explain when it happens on WhatsApp
or Facebook or something like that. But all of those are internet-based broadcasting forums. I don't know enough about it. I mean, we have a tech person who might be able to explain it better.
Well, yes, I can say that completely about when you're doing something like a live. There's other things that can interfere with it. But there are certain apps that you can use, such as WhatsApp and things like that, which are a secure, encrypted network that you can share things and talk things and stuff like that, that isn't open as much as what we're doing tonight. So there is that little bit of...
Just so that you know, where I'm Skyping from with you guys, right behind me is my entire shelf of haunted objects.
And there's some crazy bleep, bleep, bleep behind that lady.
Including a few pieces from the infamous Alistair, who is actually quite integral in the summoning of the demon.
Exactly.
But you've also got to remember, before MJ shows the other people that we can see these things, you've got to also remember one thing. I have investigated with MJ for a few years at various different locations around the UK, and I believe that it's also happened when MJ has been away from the UK. There's certain things that has triggered, that has mentioned the same thing that's happened over different locations. Is that not right, MJ?
Absolutely. We tend to have a certain gentleman pop up on several investigations around the world. And every time this particular person has popped up, whether it be through Spirit Box, EVP, on SLS camera, or whatever the case may be, he refers to himself as Crowley. And it's
also
happened
refers
only...
to you as Poppet.
He refers to me as Poppet, yeah. And it's only ever happened in locations that have an Aleister Crowley tie.
And I will put my hand up now to anybody listening to this. I've been there. We've not even... A couple of occasions, we've not even been investigating. We've been somewhere. We just happened to be doing a live, like a Facebook or a Skype, and we have picked up on this whole scenario. And
Is there something that triggers it off then? Is there like a trigger to it, or can it just be any
Generally
time?
when we start talking about him.
Yeah. The trigger is that person there.
Well, let's welcome Aleister Crowley to the show, shall we?
That would be really interesting, actually.
It
so yeah,
would
keep an ear on those weird male voices that come through that's not Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have the
Weird.
fifth person on the show. That'd be good.
Well, that's one person I would have loved to have interviewed, to be fair. So, you know, Aleister, if you're there, I would love to interview you.
Thanks, you're not the one sitting here.
Yeah, but you're all right. Of course, you pop it, love, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's endearing.
A puppet
term,
as in
isn't
a
it,
witch's
puppet?
voodoo doll, a
was gonna
witch's doll that they...
Or a term of affection.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been called
term
worse.
of affection these days. Puppet.
You know.
Puppet's quite a nice thing these days, isn't it?
I just brings
Not
to
when it's
mind.
Aleister Crowley.
Well, Aleister wrote a poem to one of his ladies, and it wasn't a very nice poem, I have to say. And Ashley Mortimer, who's talking at Sage next year, yeah, I keep thinking we're already there, but we're not. Next year, Ashley Mortimer sent that to me last Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
That is the major thing with that gentleman, is that he has sort of, his web has sort of spread over the paranormal. Whether you are an investigator, location-wise, personal, and it's quite weird. I've investigated locations with MJ where you wouldn't think there was any Aleister Crowley connection, but you've picked it up on. We picked it up on EVP, direct voice phenomena, everything like that. We picked this whole thing up.
Would the connection actually be MJ? Just saying. Just going to throw it out there.
I personally think there is something that is connected, but I also think it's something connected by an item. If anybody that was viewing this can actually see what me and the fellow people on this thing there's a bookcase behind MJ.
It's an
And
antique
behind MJ,
bookcase.
there's
Yeah.
a particular case that has a card or multiple cards. I can't remember.
It's a full deck of Aleister Crowley's tarot cards.
And in a kosh with protection, salt and everything, that MJ does this, and weird, wonderful things happen.
And I'd just like to point out, this isn't just like a deck you can buy, because you can buy the deck anywhere. This is actually his deck. This is actually his personal deck.
This deck was given
Yeah.
to MJ by somebody
Frank
not in
Sinelli.
the UK.
Sorry?
MJ?
Where did I get them?
Yeah, it was given to you by somebody
Frank
from
Sinelli.
the US.
Yes. It was a birthday present. Thanks, Frank. Great birthday present. So basically, Frank got hold of these cards. I don't really know where he got them. And he started having all sorts of things happen in his house. So he had a tall shadow figure walking around the house in male form. He woke up with bruises all over himself, scratches. Everything just kind of went downhill from there. Really bad luck, everything going wrong in his life, that sort of thing. And he thought, do you know what, this would make a great birthday present for MJ. I'm not too sure if he loves me or hates me, but you know. And then
There's no
so he
question.
brought them over.
Frank,
with the
no,
first...
MJ. There's no question. The Frank loves
I
you.
know. He is like my paranormal dad. So he brought them over when we did the first Sage Paracon at Roxall Abbey. and we decided to investigate Warwick Castle. And obviously, Warwick Castle has a really strong tie to Aleister Crowley because that's where he used to perform seances and things with the fourth Countess of Warwick and the Countess Daisy. And he actually carved in pentagrams and things in the castle walls, which you could still see if you know where to look. And so we decided to take this tarot deck to Warwick Castle and use it as a trigger object during the investigation, which yielded some incredible results. And one of the things that we got was we asked if Aleister Crowley was present, and we got a Class A EVP saying yes. And so we then said, could you stand in front of the SLS camera? And a figure mapped in. So we're like, okay, could you raise your right hand and wave if that's you? And we got that on camera. It waved at the camera on the SLS. So, there were certain other things that tied in. And the moment we removed the cards, it kind of died down.
There's another couple of side twists to that. Is that you were given these cards. Mm-hmm. You then put them into your house. Mm-hmm. You then had an upswing of weird things happening in your house before you decided to cosh, protect, etc.
See, that was going to be my question. I was going to ask if you've had the same bad luck and issues as...
Yeah, so what happened was when Frank gave me the cards, there was a binding on them. They were very well protected. There was a binding. Even with that, I still had things escalate in my house quite significantly. We then took them and used them as the trigger objects. Now, kids, this is why you don't do this.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, do not try this at home. I got very excited by the fact that we used these cards. It was a trigger object. It was a great night. Amazing results. And then with the whole chaos of the Paracon and everything and trying to wind things down a bit in a house full of people and that, we brought the cards back into my house and didn't put a binding on them. We didn't put any protection up around them, nothing of the sort. They were kind of put on the bookshelf and left there. And when things sort of died down and I was back home, I started waking up to a shadow figure in our room. Then I started waking up with bruises all over my arms, like somebody had held me down in bed. You could actually see the fingerprints. Then we started hearing a male voice. We had a lot of knocking, rapping, tapping, growling. We had footsteps up and down, doors opening and closing. My husband had seen a really tall shadow figure walking around the house. And immediately we figured, okay, it's obviously to do with this. So we had protection put on them. They are now in the little jar with enough sage, frankincense, and holy water, and God knows what else in there to kind of keep things cool. But every now and again, I don't know, that seems to wear thin. So I have to keep doing the protection on that quite often. Otherwise, stuff kicks off.
So bringing it back down to the topic we're talking about is, do you believe that the things that are happening and experiencing that you have, which I've witnessed, and there's numerous people that I know personally that's had the conversation with you via Skype, in person, that stayed at your house, mediums
mediums can't do my house.
Mediums that walk into your house and go, F no.
F no.
I think we know where he's going with that thought.
we haven't got to that point of the evening where I can go, please. But there's mediums that walked into your house, and
very recently.
I, just to give everybody an understanding, MJ lives in a little hamlet, as we say, in the UK, and beautiful town. Lovely church, lovely pubs, but where she originally received the cards was just happened to be part of a very not nice place. Directly opposite was where they used to hang people for witchcraft. Is that right?
Yes, 18 people were publicly hanged on the ground across the street from my house.
Directly opposite, there's a pub called the White Swan. Lovely pub, and I can guarantee it. You like gin, you like good
fantastic
conversation, good fun. There's your place to go. There's my plug for that place. But MJ lived there and lived across the road and all that. She's now moved since, but you've still experienced the same sort of activity.
Yeah, it's definitely followed. But going back into the whole subject of it, something that I wanted to bring up that I was just thinking of when we were talking about Aleister Crowley is one of the things that a lot of people bring up about him was everything sort of darker, and some of his practices were obviously very questionable. But it got me thinking about, I've managed to work with John Zaffis on several occasions, who we know is the world's leading demonologist. And, one of the things that I said to him was, and this is going back years, when I was still learning everything, I said to him, I couldn't wrap my brain around this. I was like, what if you're possessed by an actual demon, as an actual possession, and you don't believe in God? Then what?
Exactly.
Then what? And so, what if you're of a different religion? What if you're an atheist? So how does that work? If you're using the power of God to compel this demon out of this person, and they don't believe in God, then what?
Yeah, how is that power?
No, an exorcism will only work in regards to the faith you have. So if you are a paganist, then you would exercise in regards to a paganist perspective, belief system. Christian, Catholicism is that you have to work with the belief system that the person has got. That's
what if
my
you don't believe in
understanding.
anything?
Then you have to, I don't know, you answer that question.
Right.
Do you just believe that it's not there?
Well, no. So basically, one of the big things that he said was, as long as you believe in something good, as long as you believe there is some good in this world.
Yeah.
So positive thoughts.
Exactly. So hashtag I poop rainbows, think positive, unicorns and all that jazz. And you know what? If that's your thing,
rainbows.
Then if that's your thing, if that's what you believe in so strongly, if that's your will to survive, is that for that reason, that good, then it would work.
So, MJ, do you believe that if you break it down to the most basic level, if you believe in good, you then have to believe in bad?
Yeah, it's a polarity.
If you believe in bad, you believe in
A
good.
balance.
Forget the whole demon, forget the spirit, forget whatever you want to call it, whatever aspect of your views you have. If you believe there is a good and evil, forget the way it appears, whatever. You are then going to think, okay, if there's a good thing, there's going to be a bad thing, yin and yang.
If there's a bad thing, then you're going to use the good thing to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But
So
that,
is that your, whether it's not a demon, I think the demon is a word that gets flaunted around too much. So you're saying there's a good and a bad, you're saying there's a yin and a yang.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
hold on, because, right, okay, so the yin and the yang is a namaste, is basically accepting that in all the good, there's something bad, and in all the bad, there's something good. So it's about that balance. So when we say namaste, it's about that. It's about balance, complete balance. And when your balance is out, when you're like depressed or anxious, and all you can see is the bad, you have to, as MJ says, focus on the positives in that day. Be grateful for the positives you have in that day. And eventually the balance swings. Do you know what I mean? And it's also not good to be overly positive about everything, you know?
Yeah, because you've got to be realistic.
You have to have a certain level of realism.
But you can be overly positive, but in the day, if you're overly positive, thinking everything is like rainbows and unicorns pooping, there's going to be a negative side to it, rainbows and unicorns pooping.
But does the same stand, well, obviously, this isn't even a question, this is more of a statement. You can be exactly the same with being too negative.
Absolutely.
Being too negative can have a massive impact on your own personal life, and not just yourself, but people around you as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a negative mindset, it'll affect not only your mental health, but it's going to affect your physical health. It's going to affect your lifestyle. It's going to affect those around you. It's going to affect your quality of life overall.
And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from yourself, MJ, is social media. Okay?
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah. Scroll. Use your discernment.
No, I'm not going to say this, but one thing that NJ has taught me and a few other people have taught me is if you want positive, you put positive. And
if you're constantly posting negative stuff.
You've had a great day. I want hugs, kisses, or I want rainbow.
Everybody wants hugs and kisses.
I'm not talking about those sort of statuses. I'm talking about I'm having a good day, blah, blah, blah. Instead of going, I'm having a good day, but, and then put negative. So
Yeah.
the way
Well, my
you word
status
things-
on Facebook today had no words at all. It was just love hearts, you know.
Exactly, but people
I was
interpret
having a
that.
great day.
I've had a great day. I cleaned my house and I put up a poltergeist video going, my house is clean. I love that. That's how I looked by the end of it. I would just like to point that out. That's how I looked. And it was so lovely to get in the shower and make myself a human again after de-stigging my house.
I know that feeling.
But that could have been taken in two ways.
Do you believe that if you, let's try and word this properly, if you project a positive social media status, is that going to bring into your life?
No, because
think
it's so fake.
Hang on, whoa.
Sorry.
Go for
Shut up, Kerry.
Kerry first.
No, because I think what you have to really keep in mind on socials, any of them, whether it's Insta, Snap, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, right, is it's so fake. I could wake up feeling top of the world, right, and get an email that puts me down. Top of the world, you know what I mean, and be positive all day, and then one email comes in and it really throws that out, and I'm pissed off, and then put a load of crap out there. It's fake as fake. But it's fake as fake. People will.
Yourself, when you post something on social media that's positive, how does that react to you?
Well, I mean, obviously, you're going to get more positive responses if you're putting something positive out there. So, you know, you are attracting it to yourself. But, okay, getting off this whole social media topic, because I want to talk
because let's talk demons. Yeah,
Right.
let's get back on
Demons.
topic.
Fuck it,
There's a few demons on social media, though. I might just have that in.
Oh, honey, don't even go there. Woo! That's a whole different show. So I have a question for you.
Can I just say, I'm sorry, people. I did use the F-bomb, and I do apologise.
It's all right. Kerry
I
dropped the
will
P-bomb
walk
too.
away from this. I do apologise.
There's just
I
me and
didn't
MJ
mean
that
to say
have
the F-bomb.
I'm good so far.
Oh, sorry.
We're the worst.
Anyway, right, let's get back to
Not
topic.
swear online.
Let's get back to
Get me
topic.
offline.
Demons. So, has
Demons,
anybody in the room, encountered what you would class as not a person that's passed over that was a mean and nasty person, but a real life incorporeal being that's not lived as a human demon entity?
I
No.
don't personally think so.
No. I've come
No.
across over 12 years of investigating, I've come across you dropped the P-bomb already, but the pissed off people that are just jerks on the other side, I've come across plenty of those. However, something that would be considered that level, no, I have not.
No.
Nope.
I did recently do an interview, and in that interview I said, and I completely stand by this comment. Personally, I would love to be picked up and thrown across the room by a demon, because
No,
at least
you
then I can say, well, actually, I believe in that now, because as it stands, I believe that they've got power to interrupt somebody's life.
Okay, see, on the other hand, that's where I'm going to argue, because I think that, like we were just talking about depression and negativity and that sort of thing, what people don't understand is demonic possession isn't like, bam, you're possessed.
No, it's very subtle.
It's going to wear you down.
It's
gonna
very
start
subtle.
with depression. It's going to start with breaking you down mentally. Your mental health, first of all, as well as your physical health. You're going to be
once your mental health's incorporated, it's not long before your physical health goes anyway.
Absolutely, and that's it. So,
Well, for
it
me,
is
my
a process.
physical went first.
It's a process. A lot of people, sometimes it is the physical that goes first.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on the person, depends on how strong your mind is. And I mean, I don't speak of this from experience because I've never personally encountered it. But I have studied cases of those who have encountered these things. And having these conversations with these guys, you know, it's a thing that takes time. It's a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. So,
No, I agree.
yes, I think some people have encountered demonic things and may not have realized it.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the time.
So then how would they
got
got rid of that? Have they got rid of that by calling in the positivity?
No, it's a
Possibly, yes.
recognition. No, it's a recognition. The initial step is recognition. It depends on how it's happened, in all honesty. And
You see, I am talking if people, like you just said, MJ, if people don't realise that they're being possessed because it's slow,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
builds up over time. So if they're
Maybe
not
it is their
realising-
willpower that they're willing those sunshine and damn those. So maybe they're trying to keep their mood up so much, and they're working on that so much to not go in that slump. Maybe eventually it's like, well, this one's putting up a fight. Let's go somewhere else. Let's target someone easier.
no, because that is wearing in itself.
I suppose. True.
That that is wearing in itself, and you get to that point where you go, I literally can't anymore. I can't.
Oh, amen, sister.
Even
We've all been
without-
there.
Yeah, exactly. I can't anymore. So you go, okay, so let's look at this. Now, in regards to personal experience, this was a recognition of something that had happened. I'm not going to go into it because it's a bit involved and personal, but it was a recognition and looking at the pattern of things that had happened in my life as to what I can hear that. I
Is
can
that not
hear
your
that.
dog, Kerry?
No, that's nothing to do with my end. That's something because I can
Was that
see what's
you?
going on the tech, and that's something different coming through.
Was that in your
From MJ side. Oh, I heard that as well, and that's from
Well, that was unmissable. That was quite loud.
anybody that's listening to this show.
Welcome to
Even
my
on
life.
playback, listen to this, and could you get involved with us? Drop us a message, drop us a text, drop us a tweet, drop us anything. But at this particular
Drop us
moment, where I suddenly come on and go, listen, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a noise. There was something that just happened that three of us that heard something apart from Kerry because she was talking. Something just happened.
I still heard
Please
that.
let us know. Okay.
Yeah, but you still heard that, Kerry.
I still
So
heard
four of
it.
us heard it.
So anyway, continuing. So for me, it was a recognition and looking at the pattern of things that had happened. Now, from my personal experience, it was a situation that I'd willingly stepped into that I dealt with, and then I had to re-deal with it. You say being
I'm sorry.
thrown. I'm going to keep talking because it seems to be talking
Above you.
above me. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
I just
So-
said male choice.
You say, Gemma, that you wouldn't want to be thrown across the room. That happened twice in this working for me. I got thrown across the room in the initial working and then in the banishing. And I've had to do subsequent banishing since.
Yeah.
Right? And only now, and bearing in mind it was around this sort of time last year, yeah, that this happened. It's taken a long time. And if you look at a pattern of things over the last year of what's happened, they were very mirroring of another situation. So I didn't realise at the time that I basically carrying that burden, that entity had sort of, it was like, okay, I'm not doing it over there, I'll do it here instead. And it was that recognition of events. Now, that was quite easy to recognise, I suppose. I think if you have it when you have not had any of those kind of dealings, I think would probably be harder to recognise. You know, but I don't know. I mean, as I say, I know it was a bugger to get rid of.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm listening to what you've said, Kerry. I understand everything you're saying, and I've got 4 screens I'm looking at with 4 different people. You're saying something which is completely, which I agree, everything which you say about it is spot on. The thing that fascinates me more, which is kind of strange because you get to a point in your life that you think you've seen and heard and experienced everything, and you sort of go with the flow over the years. But tonight, I'm talking to 3 people on Skype, whatever way we're talking, and you guys out there are listening. And I'm hearing, seeing, and experiencing things on 2 different screens, apart from Gemma, who disappeared.
Sorry,
But-
I'm just in the chat room saying hello.
Yeah, I know, but there's stuff going on in MJ's screen. While Kerry's talking, there's weird lights going on behind your head.
Yeah, I thought that. I'm so sorry, but I literally thought that, Kerry, as you were
Which I'm
talking
trying to
that.
work out whether it's just Kerry's movement, but the lights aren't moving from a tech point of view, like you've just done it now. That light behind you isn't moving.
No, that's
But
the ceiling light.
While you were talking and while you were expressing what you were saying, there's weird things going on behind. MJ is experiencing stuff. Gemma, I don't know what Gemma's doing. She's probably pouring herself a very large glass of gin and tonic or whatever.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting here in a flowery shirt thinking,
I have a question.
Go for it.
What do you think of people who have summoned a demon to get rid of a demon? So they've summoned one to get rid of another.
Okay, you got 3 people you're going to ask that, MJT. Pick a name.
Kerry.
Okay, so it depends.
Have you heard of people doing that before?
Yeah. But I think what you have to understand is the terminology with that. You summon and right. So if you're going into a working to get rid of a demon, yeah, then you have to go with what resonates. You have to go with what the mythology or the ethology, yeah, is surrounding that demon. So I didn't know the demon that I was encountering, but I knew the energy of the person who had summoned it that I had to do, if that makes sense. So I had to go with a very, very specific mythology. So the entities I was conjuring to combat were very specific. Now, by their terminology, you wouldn't have gone, they're demons, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
But...
So would you class that, Kerry, as calling on other spirits as opposed to demons to come and assist?
Other entities, yeah. Other idolatries. Idolatries, is that a word? Idols or gods or goddesses or however the terminology you want. So I think you have to look at your terminology. So yes, you summon a demon to combat a demon, but you have to be very specific. I think one thing is very, very clear to make. If you're going to do this, that there is a misconception that you have to make a deal to get the demon to do what you want to do. You don't. In fact, that is a big no-no. Don't do that.
You shouldn't be trying to conjure a demon anyway, whether even if it's just for, you know.
You shouldn't. You're right, but it's the most. It's one of the most.
Anyway.
But strangely enough, it's one of the most common questions asked on Google.
How to summon a demon.
How to summon a demon.
I was actually asked this the other day by somebody who's not in the paranormal field at all. He'd had quite a bit to drink and eventually came up to me and said he wants to know, he's got this idea that he wants to summon a demon because he's heard that it will bring you money and blah, 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 like, etc., etc. And my first thing was, don't even go there. Like, don't even be stupid. I mean, how stupid are you that there's something that's negative that's making all of these promises, but at the end of the day, what are you paying for? Like, what are you going to pay with?
Yes.
What does it want from you?
You have to command it. You don't make a deal with it. I heard that too.
I heard that.
You command
it in my office.
Mm-hmm. You command the demon. Let's just keep going because
you were saying that you could command it.
Yeah, you command a demon. You don't make a deal with it.
I just want to nip in, okay? People that listen to the show, you're going to hear Ferris, you're going to hear MJ, you're going to hear Ferry. We want to hear from you people in the chat room or on Twitter or on any social media if you're hearing strange sounds, words, whatever. We want to hear this because myself as a presenter, with Kerry, with Gemma, with MJ, we're hearing this all the time.
Hiya, Dave. Hiya, Henry. Henry's shitting himself, he says in the chat room.
He is.
So, please comment. Please, if you're hearing this, please back it up what we're hearing as people.
Can you guys at home hear the same thing?
I'm so sorry, but who just said in the chat room?
Henry
said he's shitting himself here. He's actually meant emojis, but, you know. We'll go with
You're
shitting
shitting
yourself.
yourself. That growl was just in my office. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or leave the show.
No, you're not
No,
leaving the
you'll be
show.
fine.
Too late.
Neither.
No, I'm good. It's not the first time that's happened. If anything moves on its own behind me, it might be a different story.
Well, put it this way, just to give a scenario to anybody that is listening to this show. MJ sat in an office, and I walked into that office. She has a lovely couple of bookcases and a couple of bureaus, but behind her is some of the most interesting artifacts that I have ever seen in one area.
Oh, Gemma, wait, I've got one to show you. I don't think you've not seen anything.
I've not seen anything in
well,
your.
put it this way,
in your-
Gemma.
Anything.
Gemma, can I just say that
grab one.
while MJ's going to pull some spooky weirdo, there's things in that office that, yeah, there we go. That's the one I was just about to say.
So this is spray painted in gold, but it is for a reason. It's covered in sage and oils. That is the door latch to the crematorium on Poveglia Island.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You stole it.
From Poveglia.
I heard
That's
that
the
too.
Actual
Yeah, I've just heard
door
that.
latch.
Did you just hear
Yeah.
ping ping?
Yeah.
Is your phone notifications going off, Carl?
No, my phone is.
Mine's on silent.
Mine's on Do Not Disturb, so.
Mine's on.
Okay, just
when I'm doing
checking.
stuff-
Just checking.
Yeah. I learned my lesson after my phone
Okay,
and people
just-
were ringing me
just
as I was
to-
live.
Just
So.
to emphasise the point, MJ has an item that is in a office or spare bedroom that people have stayed in. I've not stayed in it. I stayed downstairs and freaked the what's it out when I've stayed there.
You're not talking about the Victorian doll pushchair.
Yeah, whatever that creepy little thing that just rocks by itself. No, I haven't done that. I'm talking about the item you just shown to the other people. The
Poveglia crematorium
the
latch.
lock that was from Poveglia Island that you have.
Mhm.
That is an actual item from Poveglia Island.
That is one location that I want to go to, actually.
I've got something else from Poveglia, and if you give me just a second, I'll
You're
grab
going to
it.
Sage Paracon cruise then, Jem.
Do you go
Yeah.
there on the same
And if you
platform?
go to the website, you'll find information.
I haven't been on the website yet, but yes, Gemma, we do 3 days in Venice, and one of the things in Venice is we investigate Poveglia Island. It takes me a year to get permission from the government to get on.
And NJ, just to tell people that are listening, this year you were there
Yes.
and you were invited to investigate which became national press in Venice,
Italy. hmm
Italy, where you went to a certain location.
We investigated an old Venetian palace overnight, and the palace is where Casanova hid out. And so they have all Casanova's letters that he wrote, as well as items of his clothing and etc. in the actual place. So we got some really interesting results, but something really funny happened. And I say funny, not quite, but one of the ladies who was investigating with us ended up with a really bad scratch on her arm, all the way down the side of her arm. So something that was there decided to target her. What are those noises?
Carry on.
Carry on, NJ.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so something decided to target her. And when throughout the evening after she'd had this scratch, it felt like something was kissing her. And we actually picked up high EMF spikes and everything to verify that there was something in front of her at the time.
But
We finished the investigation. On the walk back to the pretty much palace of our own that we were staying in, this random guy walked up to her. And bear in mind, this is like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. This random guy walked up to her on the streets of Venice and handed her a bunch of red roses and went, "I think you need this," and walked away. Talk about Casanova.
what you've also got thing is, you guys, Sage Paranormal, that were doing this at the particular time, you guys actually made the press in Venice.
Yeah, we did. We made Italian news, yeah, doing
Like
it. Pretty cool.
national Italian news of
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happened where you were investigating, because they were blown away because you had people from the networks or whatever with
Yeah.
you. Things happen, and you actually made national, whatever
Yeah, it
you
was
want to
really,
call
really
it.
cool.
I don't want to say it, but you made news.
Because
for that
well,
particular reason.
we've been invited back to Poveglia actually, because of everything that happened. So we're going back in May, and we're doing a full investigation. I've even been given the option to spend the night on Poveglia
Okay.
Island.
Just tying that in with our subject tonight, evil, demons, whatever.
Mhm.
How's your view about staying a night on Poveglia?
Ooh, you know what? And I've spoken about this before on shows. When I watched, and everybody's seen the Ghost Adventures episode where Zach gets possessed on Poveglia, right? I mean, it's the reason he has a whole big back tattoo and etc., etc. And it was all, oh my God, I'm so angry, blah, blah, blah. And I think he attacks Nick or he attacks Aaron or whoever the case is, you know. And watching that, I was like, yeah, makes for good TV. Hashtag it's a demon. Let me guess. You know, every damn episode. And when we arrived on the island, the moment I stepped off, I was so excited, man. This was a huge bucket list for me. So I was over the moon. I just wanted to get on there and investigate and check it out and explore the island. And there was a group of about 10 of us that went. And so we were all walking around exploring, and literally, like the flick of a switch, I went from super happy and excited bucket list to wanting to rip someone's throw it out within seconds, to the point where, and then, I mean, I'm leading this group, so I had to pull myself away from the group and kind of compose myself, ground myself, get some protection up, and not that I hadn't done that before I got on the island, but it was that intense. And I just broke down crying. It was so emotional. We were hit with this sadness. And I say we because shortly after that, I kind of pulled myself towards myself. And, you know, you're leading the group, so you can't let other people see this. And none of them saw it at the time, thankfully, because I took, you know, a couple minutes to myself. But there were 3 other people that broke down crying. And they couldn't breathe. They were sobbing so hysterically. And it was to the point where I had to calm them down and, you know, do some grounding work and just get them back to something, you know, close to normal.
Some sense of
So,
normality.
MJ,
Yeah.
from
And
that
it was
experience
that overwhelming. It feels like you can't breathe. The atmosphere is so oppressive. The air feels thick. It's a whole different ballgame.
so from that experience that
Mhm.
your people came with you,
Mhm.
you experienced
Yep.
that moment in time when you're at Poveglia Island, bring it back to the whole show that we're doing.
hmm Do I think it was something demonic? I definitely feel that there is something to that level there. Anything that can influence you that quickly and that amount of people at the same time is seriously strong.
Okay.
So yes, I do think there is something there that is a lot darker, a hell of a
So
lot
do you
darker.
worry that you have brought back a certain part of Poveglia that's behind you?
Yes, every day.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
That's not the thing that I'm worried about the most that comes from Poveglia. It's the thing that you can't see that's from Poveglia that is currently locked away in a cupboard. That I don't even think you know of, Carl.
I was going to say, I thought I knew most things about you.
No, I'm gonna slip away
Okay,
here for a
while
second.
you bring
MJ
a doll
disappears,
back?
I want to talk to Kerry and Gemma. What are your views on a particular location, like MJ just experienced? What's gone on, blah, blah, blah. What are your views and experiences of it?
See, I've
Before
had a similar
MJ
thing.
just freaks the
I've had a
Jesus
similar
out of
thing to MJ. I went to Tudor World on an investigation.
the full stuff.
Yeah, Falstaff, Tudor World, whatever you want to call it. And I had a group of guests and pretty much the same as MJ. You know, I was leading that group of people. And I had to be removed from that location because I got so angry that which you guys know me, so you know that I don't particularly do angry. I can do pissed off from time to time, but anger isn't something that I do as a rule. But when I say I was angry, I wanted to rip anybody's head off, and I didn't even care who it was. It could be anybody. They was just stood in front of me, and I just wanted to attack, which is extremely unusual. And it took
Was it just that location?
Yeah. You know the room.
Was it the room that we were in
downstairs
together?
with the throne?
Was I there?
Yeah, well, no, this was a different event, because I actually said I would never go back to Tudor World after that experience, but then UK Haunted did an event there, and I was like, no, I'm going to have to go back. Not fair. So I did actually bite the bullet and go back, but that was the one location that made me say I will never go back. Okay. And I've done it, been back.
Okay. That's very, very interesting. Kerry, I know you as a logical person, and I'm looking at you thinking you look like you should be answering questions on Universal Challenge at the moment, because you've got that face. What is your views on it?
I think you have to be very careful. I think I take what both MJ and Gemma have said, but I also think you need to look at the history. Pavelia, oh gosh, the history of that place is incredible and shocking.
Don't even go there.
Exactly. So I think you have to take that into account. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily demonic, but I would say that
there is something there. However, the most overwhelming part of it is because of the history, because of the sadness.
Exactly.
That's there. Because it is really overwhelming. And yes, that's particularly why all of us burst into tears, because the sadness that you feel, it's so intense.
Yeah, you see, with Pavelia, I know the history of that location, so I'm pretty sure that going there would affect me. Okay. Tudor World, I had no idea of any of the history at all.
Tudor World I've done a few times, and I've had bad experience, good experience, depending on the group and everything like that. But I just want to focus on something. Unknown to the viewers, the listeners that we're doing, myself, Carrie, we've been chatting, and we're bringing in people, and we're talking. But at this precise moment in time, MJ is unwrapping something.
I have unwrapped it, and I really actually want to put it back very soon.
Myself, that I know MJ very, very well, as a person that is a very, very good friend of MJ's, and we've experienced it on things that go through. And myself, Kerry, Gemma, we're looking at what MJ's put on our lap, and she's unwrapped it slowly. But I want to get the experience for the viewers that can't experience what we're seeing. MJ's just brought out a box and she's put it on the lap. She's opened it. It's got tissue paper, blah-de-blah-de-blah. This is the first time, MJ, you've actually opened this. Is this correct?
First time in a while.
Okay.
So these are the pages from the doctor's book on Pavelia Island.
Are you fucking kidding me? Sorry.
F-bomb.
I didn't know what she was opening. Sorry.
I'm so sorry for laughing, everybody. It was Carl's response that made me laugh.
So what I'm looking at, I'll hold that to the camera.
That's actually...
Those are the pages from the doctor's book on Pavelia Island. Yes.
How did you get permission to take that off the island? Okay, you were given permission.
She was given permission. We would just like to point that out. MJ does not steal from locations. She was given special permission. It was given to her.
It was given to me. I didn't steal it.
Okay, so you're opening this for the first time. Not the first time, but you're opening this for the first time in a long time since you protected it.
And I really want to put it away because it's really creeping me out.
This is what I mean. That's my point, though, about Pavelia. The doctor himself was... No. That's the point I was making. With the history and that kind of character, that's going to have, that's not demonic. That's just horrible person and circumstance.
I need to ask one question. What's weird that's going on that Kerry's heard, Gemma's heard,
and people in the chat room are hearing as well?
I need MJ to read a couple of lines out of what you just pulled out.
It's in Italian, and no.
Well,
nice try,
worth
though.
a try.
I really want to put this away.
Yeah, I can see that because it looks.
Yeah, she's very.
Yeah,
Pop it
You can
away.
see-
Go and put it away,
Right, okay. So I wanna just go to the chat room because the chat room's in. First of all, Kit, yes, we did discuss the origin of the word, the Greek thing. We did it quickly, but we did it, right? Now, Dave, hi Dave, says it could be someone's stomach rumbling. I've answered that question. Guys, I take it we haven't got stomachs rumbling.
Mine's definitely
Oh yeah,
not.
before I got on live, which I always do before.
That most
Anyway,
certainly was not my stomach.
Okay, so
Unfortunately.
yeah, you know, so it's been brought up. No, it's been brought up. That's
Right
fine.
question.
So we've answered
Yeah,
that.
right
I
question.
say,
Good on
it's,
you for trying to debunk it, though.
and
That's
it's
great.
not wind.
No, I'm not
Just
being
saying.
difficult.
And some farts. No.
You know,
No wind here going on.
Safe to say.
you know, just playing devil's advocate and all that. And David said he
Super
had the
fun.
same experience at the Masonic Hall in Liverpool. He wanted to punch doors and everything. In the end, he had to walk out the room for 10 minutes. The second time he visited, the same thing happened to him. And a team member as well. So it wasn't just him, it affected a team member as well.
Terry, can I just ask a quick question? The gentleman that just said about that, can you just post where it was, what location?
That was the
That sounds
Masonic
very-
Hall in
Masonic
Liverpool.
in Liverpool.
Yeah, but whereabouts? That could
He
be
said,
anywhere.
well, let me finish. Come on. He
I'm
said,
sorry.
boy, shut up, Carl. The
Hashtag
boiler
it's a
room
demon.
scared him so much, he was almost panicking with fear. And then after he left the boiler room, he started to cry. And it was a demonic, to him, it was, not a bit confusing this last bit. It was a demonic, it to me is more negative, nasty. I think he means it wasn't demonic, it was more negative and nasty. And there's the difference. You have to be very careful. If you're dealing with a demonic entity, it's completely different. And trust me, you will know the difference. Trust me on that one. I know the difference. I've dealt with the differences. And it is completely different. It is not going to come at you like that.
Sorry, I've just got the hippie jibbies. I just got literally, you know, that goosebumps all over from head to toe. Like, someone walks up to you. Yeah, I've had to move that item a little further away from me. That was not
MJ,
fun.
can I ask one question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, let me rephrase that. Where the effing did you get that from?
From Pavelia.
Yeah, but who gave it to you?
I can't talk about that on air,
Okay, that's fine.
unfortunately.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, just for the listeners, you might think we could be over dramatising it, blah 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 blah. I know, but put it this way: I've seen the parchments that MJ had on her lap. I would just like to say they're original, and we will discuss and we will talk about that at some point.
Yeah, I actually I want to get them translated sometime when I can.
I'd be
out
interested
for
in
more
that.
than an hour or so.
Yeah,
I'm also
'cause,
worried
yeah.
about they're wrapped up because I'm worried about the moisture in the air damaging them or
Yeah.
anything like that because they are so old.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're very discoloured and everything, as you can see. It's like
Yeah.
it's literally crumbling, so I have to be really careful. Which is
Mm.
Did
another
notice
reason why-
when you were moving them, like the care that you took to move it.
Yeah, and they are busy crumbling, so I am very, very careful with that. Yeah, I do want to get them translated. They're not in any sage or anything, so I am very careful with it. Although, having said that, the cupboard that they are kept in is covered in crystals and sage, and
So although
sage oil
the
and
parchment
frankincense
itself isn't covered, the area it's kept in is.
is
Mhm.
And your house is, and you are, and
yes. All
I think the
time.
moral of the story tonight is that people
Don't
really should be
say
playing with things that they know nothing about.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. I
And
know
the
what
other-
I'm doing
the
with
other
this sort of thing,
scenario
and
is
I've
double
come a
standard.
cropper. Do you know
You
what
know,
I
a lot of
mean?
people, briefly touching on haunted objects, very briefly. A lot of people think it's really cool to buy an object that's allegedly haunted and stick it in their house and that. if they don't know how they're working with it and they don't know what to do with it, it can cause havoc in your home.
Yeah.
I know this from personal experience, and even speaking as someone who is experienced with this sort of thing, I'm the person that phones John Zappis and goes, help, because of a particular item that I had, which he wants for the museum and won't get.
Aha, love that.
See, Kerry, like you said earlier, you've been through the whole demonic experience, and it's not something that you would personally do again unless absolutely necessary, and you are very well informed. And
I know what I'm doing with it all. And even I made mistakes in that, do you know what I mean? Which had a detrimental effect on my personal well-being. And it's taken me a long time to sort that shit out.
I was showing Paul something earlier.
Can I ask you a quick question, Kerry?
Mm-hmm.
You obviously believe in light and dark?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, more neutral, but there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way I say about light and dark is you're talking about the different scenarios.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of agreeing, but I'm not agreeing. But yeah, carry on.
Okay. What I'm trying to understand and trying to get process in my head, you believe in one thing, you see one thing, and then you read something else, and then you think, oh, okay, where does that come into it?
Because you start from a neutral point.
Are you
right?
Spiritualist, crystal-wise?
What do you mean? How do I approach something?
Yeah.
By circumstance, what I'm dealing with at the time, and it's got no bearing on a personal belief system. I'm actually very good at boxing off my personal emotions and feelings and belief systems and looking at it coldly. Unfortunately, it works quite well generally, but
cool. Okay.
Not so good.
But
I actually come from a neutral point of view, and my belief is any energy is neutral. It's how you choose to use it. Now, if someone's chosen to use energy or entity in a negative way, then it will be negative. If you choose to use it in a positive way, it'll be positive. The word demon doesn't come into it. It's entity. It's whether it's
the thing I was going to say. Just
elemental or demonic. Whatever term you want to put on it. It starts as a neutral perspective. If you raise an entity or I'm going to air quote demon or an god or goddess or whatever it is in your belief system, if you raise that entity, then they will do basically, you command it, you direct the energy. It's how you direct the energy. If you turned it into a negative, they will work that negativity. They will do that.
Sorry, Kerry.
There's that noise again, I know.
No, it wasn't a noise, that was a voice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I agree with everything Kerry's saying, because negative and positive. But as we were talking, Kerry was going into and talking about everything that is whatever we were talking about. All of a sudden, there's a video feed between the 4 presenters that were on tonight. There's 3 presenters that just went when Kerry was talking.
Sorry, everybody.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the 2 other presenters what I heard before I say anything. What did Gemma hear?
I heard mumbling, talking, but more of a mumble because I could hear Kerry as well. So
okay.
I heard what sounded like a female voice though behind Kerry. It seemed like it was coming from behind Kerry.
Okay.
It was like a full sentence though.
I heard, like MJ said, I heard a female voice asking a full sentence.
Yeah. It did sound like it had a questioning tone to it.
Okay. Kerry, back to you.
Well, oh my God, where do you go from that?
Fucking holy water from the Vatican.
I will say this. I do work in a very different way to a lot of people, and I do incorporate a lot of different methodologies, should we say. My house is, like MJ, is protected to the goddamn hill. That has to be done on a regular basis. When I say I cleaned my house, I know I heard that too. I think, was that Gemma, though?
Was that you, Gemma?
What?
Did you just move?
No, Gemma didn't fucking move. Sorry.
We're popping out the F-bombs and the S-bombs. You get into that time and now, I feel.
Sorry.
I'm like MJ, though. I protect my house. When I said I cleaned my house, I cleaned it physically, but I also cleansed it. Do you know what I mean? There's a whole process that goes into that. So
when you cleanse your house, Kerry, do you cleanse yourself too?
yeah, gotcha. That's the whole part of the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is the whole part of the process. And in fact, if you're going into any form of ritual work, that is part of the process. It's part of the mental mindset, getting ready for it. It's part of that process. If you don't do that, you're taking your daily shit into your ritual, which you shouldn't do. You have to cleanse yourself as well. So when they say clean yourself, there's a whole prep that goes into it. When I go into a working, I will go offline. I will shut everything down. Nobody will contact me. And I've got the room cleansed. I've got it protected. I've got it set up. All the tools that I'm going to use are there, sorted and everything. But that's just prep work. The prep work takes so much work. And then before I do ritual work, I will do a full-blown personal cleanse and then go into a ritual working.
Absolutely, it's the right way to do it.
And this is something that a lot of people don't do. And it's, I call it, and I don't mean it's derogatory or just, being detrimental to anybody, but it's a process, and it's the difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. And this is a huge bugbear of mine, because you go into any form of investigation, you go into any form of ritual work, and that includes the woo-woo Wicca stuff that's out there, or the New Age crap that's out. Sorry, I didn't say that word. The New Age workings that are out there, or any of that. There is a whole process that needs to be taken into consideration. Otherwise, you are getting impassioned about this, because having had personal experience, and I know what I'm bloody doing, and it's had a detrimental effect. You need to know what you're doing. That comes from knowledge, research. Though. You need to know what you're doing.
And this is the problem, like investigating is when and
Hello?
it's putting.
We're losing Gemma.
Oh, we haven't had problems with connection all night, and now all of a sudden we're losing gems.
Can I just say something then? Well, just looking at the clock, looking at the clock on the...
we've well overrun. And my dog, I'm so sorry, my dog is now going crazy.
That's fine.
What is you doing?
Wait for the dog to stop barking. Thank you. Blah, 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 blah.
Sorry.
Okay, 2 seconds. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Oh, are you now?
We got to that point of time on the Dark Mirror show. Thank you for everybody that came on, and thank you for everybody that interacted, and thank you to the amazing guests, MJ Dixon. I've got an amazing video of Gemma that just looks like she's trying to swallow a whole watermelon, and then we got Kerry. So forget that. I'm not going to do anything because I've been there, done that.
Carl, I'm in bed.
I'm just going to say, thanks everybody. Been great. Keep interacting with us. Keep getting on there. Keep social media. Interact with everybody.
I'm going to go and check out the chat room. I want to see the comments. I haven't been able to.
Okay. Talk over me. That doesn't matter. I'm going to pass it back to Kerry.
We're going to wrap this show up, guys. We hope you enjoyed this evening. It's been an electric talk. I hope you've enjoyed the back talk person who joined us. We don't know who the hell that is. On that note, if you missed it, Ness, who's just joined us in the chat room, you can listen on Catch Up on YouTube. Click like, share and subscribe. Parasearch Radio.
Click like and subscribe.
And share.
And share. Don't forget to share it out, guys. If you like what you hear, pass the word along to the paranormal community. On that note, don't forget, Sunday evening, 9 p.m, I go live. I've got the amazing Cal Cooper in the studio. We're talking positive... I know, we're talking positive psychology on Sunday evening on the Spirit Dimension.
I just can't get over him unbuttoning his shirt at the Sage Paracon.
Oh, mate, he is like all well fit, right?
No, come on. Let's just get back
I
to
literally had
normal.
every single
Come on.
woman at the Sage Paracon come up to me after his talk and go, MJ, I just want to say thank you.
Right. But just like to put that out, he is actually married with babies. Damn him. Anyway, on Sunday evening, I get to talk to Cal Cooper, which is my little thrill for Sunday evening, all about positive psychology. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me, guys. It's been a fascinating discussion
It's been
tonight.
interesting. It's been different. It's been awesome.
It's been fantastic. Thank you so
Terry,
much.
Always a pleasure.
Gems,
Take care.
good night, guys.
Thank you.
MJ.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.